Admiral Zex Thera stood on the bridge of his massive warship and looked at the blue planet floating in space. Earth was small and far away from the center of the galaxy. The Colonian Empire had ruled over thousands of worlds for many years. This little planet should be easy to conquer. The Admiral's skin was green and covered in scales. His eyes were yellow and cold. He had destroyed many civilizations before. Earth would be just another name on his list of victories. The humans living there had no idea what was coming for them. Commander Veltak walked up to the Admiral. His claws clicked on the metal floor. "Sir, we sent the humans our message 3 days ago. They have given us their answer." "And what did these primitive creatures say?" Admiral Zexathera asked. He did not really care. No species had ever said no to the Colonian Empire and survived. "They refused our offer, Admiral. They said they will not become part of our empire. They want to stay free and rule themselves." "Dirthing," Admiral laughed. It was a harsh sound that made the other aliens on the bridge feel afraid. "Free? They think they can stay free when the mighty Colonian Empire wants their world? How many ships do they have?" "Our scouts counted about 50 ships, Admiral. They are small and use old technology. Our weakest ship could destroy 10 of theirs, without any trouble." Admiral Zexathera nodded. This would be even easier than he thought. The humans had built their ships using simple rockets and metal hulls. The Colonian ships could bend space and time. They had weapons that could destroy entire moons. Their shields could stop any attack. Far away on Earth, Captain Jake Morrison sat in the command center under the moon's surface. He was a tall man with short brown hair and tired eyes. He had been a soldier for 20 years. He had fought in wars on Earth, but nothing had prepared him for this. The screens around him showed the alien fleet. There were hundreds of ships, each one bigger than anything humans had ever built. They moved through space like hungry sharks swimming toward their prey. Lieutenant Amy Brooks turned to Captain Morrison. She was young and scared, but she kept her voice steady. "Sir, the alien fleet is moving into attack position. They will reach Earth in 6 hours. "Any word from the President?" Morrison asked. "Yes, sir. President Linda Carter is speaking to the world leaders now. She wants to talk to you in 5 minutes. Morrison nodded. He looked at the alien ships on his screen. Each one could probably destroy every human city by itself. But humans had something the aliens did not understand. They had the will to fight even when they could not win. President Carter appeared on Morrison's screen. She was an older woman with gray hair and strong eyes. She had led America through many hard times. Now she had to lead all of humanity through the hardest time of all. "Captain Morrison, I need to know the truth. Can we win this fight?" she asked. Morrison looked at the numbers again. 50 human ships against hundreds of alien ships. Old human technology against weapons that seemed like magic. "No, ma'am. We cannot win a normal fight against them." "Then what do you suggest we do?" "We fight anyway, ma'am. We make them pay for every inch of space they take. We show them that humans do not give up even when we should." President Carter was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had made a hard choice. "Captain, I am about to give the aliens our final answer. I want you to be ready to fight." "Yes, ma'am." "We will be ready." The alien message came through on all of Earth's communication systems. Admiral Zexthara's face appeared on every television and computer screen on the planet. His yellow eyes looked cold and cruel. "People of Earth," the Admiral said. His voice was translated into every human language. "I am Admiral Zexthara of the Colonian Empire. Your world now belongs to us. You will surrender your weapons and accept our rule. You will work for us and give us everything we want. If you agree to this, we will let most of you live. If you refuse, we will destroy your cities and kill your people. You have 1 hour to decide." The message ended. Every person on Earth waited to hear what their leaders would say. President Carter spoke from the White House. Her voice was calm and clear. "People of Earth, we have heard the alien demands. They want us to become their slaves. They want us to give up everything that makes us human. They think we will surrender because they have bigger ships and stronger weapons." She paused. Around the world, billions of people held their breath. "They are wrong. We are humans. We do not bow to anyone. We do not surrender our freedom. We choose to fight. We choose to stand together. We may not win, but we will show these aliens that some things are worth dying for." Colonel Pete Hawkins received the order to launch. He commanded the Earth Defense Force's main battle group. 12 ships under his command. 12 ships against hundreds. His ship was called the UES Defiance. It was not the biggest or strongest ship in the human fleet, but it had a good crew. Men and women who knew they were probably going to die but would fight anyway. "All ships. This is Colonel Hawkins. We have our orders. Earth is counting on us. Our families are counting on us. We may not be able to stop them, but we can show them that humans fight back. We can buy time for Earth to prepare. Are you ready?" Voices came back over the radio, captains and crews from all over Earth. "Ready, sir. Let's do this. For Earth, for humanity." The human ships moved away from Earth and toward the alien fleet. They were small and slow compared to the alien ships, but they moved with purpose. Each human ship carried nuclear weapons and brave crews who would not run away from a fight. Admiral Zexathera watched the human ships approach. He could not believe what he was seeing. Are they actually going to fight us? Do they not understand how outmatched they are? Commander Veltak looked at his instruments. "Admiral, the human ships are moving into attack formation. They seem to be planning some kind of assault." "Impossible. No intelligent species would attack when they are so clearly beaten. They must be coming to surrender." But the human ships kept coming. They spread out in a pattern that made no sense to alien military thinking. They were not protecting each other. They were not trying to create a strong defensive line. They seemed to be planning something crazy. Admiral Zexathara felt something he had not felt in many years. Uncertainty. These humans were not acting like any enemy he had faced before. They should be afraid. They should be running away or begging for mercy. Instead, they were flying straight toward his fleet like they thought they could actually win. The battle started when Earth's sun was rising over New York City. Admiral Zexathara sat in his command chair and watched the human ships get closer. His crew was relaxed. They had done this many times before. Small, weak species always tried to fight at first. Then they learned how hopeless it was and gave up. "Forward squadrons, begin the attack," the admiral ordered. "Use minimum power. We want to disable their ships, not destroy them all. We need some humans alive to work in our mines." 20 Colonian ships moved toward the human fleet. Each alien ship was 3 times bigger than the largest human vessel. Their energy shields glowed blue around their hulls. Their weapons could punch holes through mountains. Captain Morrison watched from his command chair on the UES Defiance. His hands were steady, but sweat ran down his face. Around him, his crew worked at their stations. They all knew they were about to die. But they also knew their job was to hurt the aliens as much as possible before that happened. "All ships, hold formation until they get close," Morrison said into his radio. "Remember the plan, we only get one chance at this." The alien ships came closer. Their weapons started to glow. In a few seconds, they would start shooting. The human ships looked tiny and helpless in comparison. Then something happened that shocked every alien on every ship. Lieutenant Tony Reed was flying a small fighter ship called the Hornet. It was fast but had almost no armor or weapons. As the alien ships got close, Tony pushed his engines to maximum power and flew straight at the biggest Colonian cruiser. The aliens could not believe what they were seeing. "Is that human trying to ram us?" asked a Colonian gunner. "Impossible," said his commander. No pilot would throw his life away for such a small chance of doing damage. But Tony Reed was not planning to ram the ship. When he got very close to the alien cruiser, he pressed the eject button. His fighter kept flying toward the alien ship while Tony floated away in his escape pod. The Hornet crashed into the Colonian cruiser's shields. The shields held, just like the aliens expected. But the human ship was packed with nuclear bombs. 20 nuclear warheads exploded at the same time, all focused on one small part of the alien shields. The explosion was brighter than the sun. The Colonian shields, which could stop normal weapons, could not handle that much power hitting one spot. They collapsed. The nuclear fire burned through the alien hull like a hot knife through butter. The cruiser exploded. Pieces of alien metal flew in all directions. 300 Colonian soldiers died in an instant. Admiral Zexathara jumped up from his chair. What just happened? How did they destroy our shields? Before anyone could answer, more human ships started their attacks. But they were not attacking the way any normal military would attack. Captain Lisa Murphy commanded a ship called the UES, Relentless. As the alien ships got close, she ordered her crew to do something that seemed crazy. Shut down life support, she commanded. Vent all our air into space. Cut power to everything except engines and weapons. Her crew looked at her like she had lost her mind, but they followed orders. The Relentless stopped moving and went dark. To alien sensors, it looked like a dead ship floating in space. The Colonian. Ships flew past the Relentless without paying attention to it. Why would they worry about a ship that was already destroyed? But the Relentless was not destroyed. When 3 alien ships got very close, Captain Murphy turned on all her weapons at once. At point-blank range, human missiles and railguns tore into the alien hulls. 2 Colonian ships exploded. The third one was badly damaged and spinning out of control. All across the battle area, human ships were doing things that made no sense to the aliens. They used their own ships as bombs. They pretended to be dead and then attacked by surprise. They rammed alien ships even when they knew it would kill them. Commander Veltok watched his battle display with growing horror. Admiral, we have lost 6 ships. The humans are using tactics we have never seen before. How is this possible? Admiral Zexathara demanded. They should be running away. No species fights like this. Captain Ben Foster was commanding a human destroyer when alien weapons hit his ship. The explosion killed half his crew and destroyed his engines. His ship was drifting and could not move. Most captains would have surrendered at that point. Captain Foster ordered his men to do something else. Load all our remaining nuclear missiles into the cargo bay, he said. Set them to explode in 60 seconds. Then everyone get to the escape pods. Sir, what are you doing? Asked his weapons officer. I'm turning our ship into the biggest bomb these aliens have ever seen. The human crew escaped just before their ship exploded. The blast was so powerful it damaged 4 alien ships that were flying nearby. Major Sam Carter was watching the battle from his base on Mars. He could see that the human fleet was losing, but they were not losing quickly, and they were making the aliens pay a terrible price. Look at that, he said to his staff. 12 human ships have destroyed or damaged 30 alien ships, and the aliens still do not understand what they are fighting. The aliens had expected an easy victory. They thought humans would fight like other species they had conquered. Those species tried to protect their ships and save their soldiers' lives. They fought carefully and gave up when the cost got too high. Humans were different. They treated their own lives as weapons. They threw away ships and crews if it would hurt the enemy. They turned retreat into attack and defeat into victory. On the Colonian command ship, alarms were ringing. Damage reports came in from all over the fleet. Admiral Zexathara could not understand what was happening. Sir, reported a communications officer, the humans are sending us a message. Put it on screen. Captain Morrison's face appeared. He was bleeding from a cut on his forehead, but his eyes were calm and determined. Admiral Zexathara, Morrison said, you wanted to know what humans are like. Now you know. We do not surrender. We do not run away. Every ship you destroy will take some of yours with it. Every human you kill will cost you 10 of your soldiers. You can win this battle, but it will not be easy. It will not be cheap. And when you are done, there will be more humans waiting to fight you. The message ended. Admiral Zexathara stared at the screen. In 30 years of conquest, no enemy had ever spoken to him like that. Around the Colonian fleet, the surviving human ships regrouped for another attack. There were only 5 left, but they flew toward the aliens as if they still had a chance to win. For the first time in his life, Admiral Zexathara felt something he had never felt before. He felt afraid. 3 weeks after the first battle, Admiral Zexathara received a message that made him angry. The High Command wanted to know why he had not conquered Earth yet. Other Colonian fleets conquered entire star systems in less time than he had spent, fighting one small planet. The Admiral looked at his battle reports. He had started with 800 ships. Now he had 600 left. The humans had destroyed 200 Colonian vessels. No enemy had ever hurt the Empire this much in such a short time. The worst part was that the humans were getting stronger. Every day, more human ships appeared to fight his fleet. They were building new weapons and learning new ways to hurt his soldiers. The Admiral did not understand how this was possible. Major Sam Carter stood in a hidden base inside an asteroid, near Mars. Around him, human soldiers prepared for their most dangerous mission yet. They were going to sneak onto alien ships and fight the enemy from the inside. "Listen up," Major Carter said to his team. "The aliens think their ships are safe. They have never had to worry about enemies getting inside their vessels. That is going to be their biggest mistake." Sergeant Kelly Davis checked her equipment one more time. She was a small woman with red hair and green eyes. She had been a police officer before the war started. Now she was one of Earth's best Special Forces soldiers. "Sir, how are we going to get onto their ships without them seeing us?" she asked. Major Carter smiled. "We are going to hide inside the wreckage of our own ships. When the aliens collect the debris to study our technology, they will bring us right to them." It was a crazy plan. The human soldiers would have to float in space inside broken pieces of metal and wait for the aliens to pick them up. They would have only a few hours of air, and if the aliens decided not to collect that particular piece of wreckage, the soldiers would die. But the plan worked. 2 days later, a Colonian salvage ship picked up what looked like part of a destroyed human fighter. Hidden inside the twisted metal, Sergeant Davis and 3 other soldiers waited in the dark. When the alien ship brought the wreckage inside, the humans cut their way out and began their mission. The Colonian ship was unlike anything the humans had ever seen. The walls glowed with soft light. The air smelled strange and made it hard to breathe. Gravity was lighter than on Earth, so the humans had to learn to move differently. But the aliens had made a mistake. They had never fought an enemy that could get inside their ships. Their security systems were designed to stop attacks from outside, not from within. Sergeant Davis led her team through maintenance tunnels that were too small for the tall Colonian soldiers. The aliens never thought anyone would use these passages to move around the ship. "Target the life support systems first," she whispered into her radio. "Then the navigation computers. We want to make this ship helpless without destroying it completely." The human soldiers moved like ghosts through the alien vessel. They planted explosives in key locations and hacked into computer systems. Within 2 hours, they had turned the Colonian ship into a floating wreck, but that was just the beginning. Captain Chris Johnson was coordinating similar attacks all across the solar system. Human Special Forces teams were sneaking onto alien ships, sabotaging alien bases and turning the enemy's own technology against them. On the moon of Europa, human soldiers poisoned the water supplies at a Colonian military base. The poison was harmless to humans but deadly to alien biology. 50 Colonian officers died before they figured out what was happening. On asteroid mining stations, humans rigged the mining equipment to explode when aliens tried to use it. They booby-trapped buildings and turned supply depots into death traps. The aliens had never seen warfare like this. In all their centuries of conquest, enemies had always fought them ship to ship, army to army. No species had ever attacked from the shadows or used the enemy's own resources as weapons. Commander Veltok brought more bad news to Admiral Zexathera. "Sir, we have lost contact with 12 more ships. Our scouts report that human infiltrators have sabotaged them from the inside." "How is this possible?" the Admiral demanded. "Our ships are sealed. Our security is perfect. The humans are not fighting like any enemy we have faced before, Admiral. They do not care about military honor or proper tactics. They use any method that will hurt us, no matter how dangerous it is to themselves." The Admiral looked at the tactical display. Red warning lights showed damaged or missing ships all across his fleet. The humans were like a disease that was spreading through his forces, destroying everything they touched. On Earth, President Carter received reports from human agents all over the galaxy. The news was better than anyone had hoped. "Ma'am," said her military advisor, Our tactics are working so well that other species are starting to copy them. The aliens have ruled the galaxy for so long that everyone forgot how to fight them. Now the humans are showing them the way. Species that had been slaves of the Colonian Empire for hundreds of years were starting to rebel. They used human-taught methods to attack their oppressors. They poisoned alien food supplies, sabotaged alien equipment, and turned alien technology against itself. The rebellion was spreading faster than the Empire could stop it. Worlds that had been peaceful for centuries were suddenly at war. The Colonian military, which had seemed invincible, was being stretched thin trying to fight on 1,000 different fronts. Captain Roy Adams led a fleet of converted civilian ships in an attack on the Jupiter orbital stations. His fleet was made up of cargo haulers, passenger ships, and mining vessels. They should have been no match for the elite Colonian naval units defending the stations. But the humans had learned something important about their enemy. The aliens were too proud and too set in their ways. They always used the same tactics and expected their enemies to do the same. "All ships execute Crazy Ivan," Captain Adams ordered. The human civilian ships scattered in all directions, moving in patterns that made no military sense. Some ships flew straight up, others dove down, and a few started spinning like tops while they flew forward. The Colonian defenders did not know how to respond. Their weapons were designed to target ships, moving in predictable patterns. When the humans started flying like drunken birds, the alien gunners could not hit them. While the aliens were confused, the human ships closed in and attacked at point-blank range. Mining lasers cut through alien hulls. Cargo haulers rammed into enemy vessels. Even passenger ships were turned into weapons. Within 3 hours, the humans had recaptured the Jupiter stations. The Colonian fleet was destroyed or scattered. Admiral Zexthera received the report while he was trying to plan his next attack on Earth. When he heard that elite naval units had been defeated by converted civilian ships, he threw his tablet across the room. "These humans are impossible," he said to his empty command center. "They do not fight like soldiers. They fight like wild animals with no sense of proper warfare." But that was exactly why they were winning. 6 months had passed since the war began. Admiral Zexthera stood alone in his command room, staring at reports that made no sense. The Colonian Empire was losing a war against a single planet. Worse than that, the rebellion was spreading to every corner of the galaxy. The Admiral's scales had turned darker with stress. His yellow eyes were bloodshot from lack of sleep. In 6 months of fighting, he had learned to fear the humans in ways he never thought possible. His communication device buzzed. The Emperor himself wanted to speak with him. Admiral Zexthera's hands shook as he answered the call. "Admiral." The Emperor's voice was cold as space ice. "Explain to me how a primitive species has destroyed half of our 7th Fleet." "Your Majesty, the humans do not fight like any species we have encountered. They learn from every battle. Every tactic we use against them, they find a way to counter within days. Are you telling me that our mighty empire cannot defeat one small planet?" Admiral Zexthera looked at his tactical displays. Red warning. Lights covered the map of the galaxy. Rebellions on 47 worlds. Supply lines cut in dozens of systems. Naval units destroyed or missing across 8 sectors. "Your Majesty, it is not just one planet anymore. The humans have taught their methods to every species that wants to be free. They have turned our empire into a battlefield." Dr. Helen Ross worked in a secret laboratory hidden inside a hollowed-out asteroid. She was a thin woman with gray hair and tired eyes, but her mind was sharp as a laser blade. For months, she had been studying captured Colonian technology, looking for weaknesses. "I think I have found something," she told Colonel Hawkins over the secure communication link. "The alien shields work by bending energy around their ships. But what if we could make their shields work against them?" "What do you mean, Doctor?" "I have created a new type of missile. Instead of trying to break through their shields, it feeds on the shield energy and turns it into a weapon. The stronger their shields, the more damage our weapon does." Colonel Hawkins was quiet for a moment. "How long before we can test it?" "The first batch is ready now, Colonel. 20 missiles that will either change this war or blow up in our faces." 3 days later, a Colonian battle group approached the asteroid belt near Mars. Admiral Zexathara had ordered them to destroy the human mining stations hidden among the rocks. It seemed like an easy mission. The asteroid miners had no warships to defend themselves. Captain Roy Adams waited with his makeshift fleet. He had 12 ships that used to haul ore and ice between the planets. Now they were armed with Dr. Ross's new weapons. None of his captains were trained military officers. They were miners, engineers, and freight pilots who had volunteered to fight. "Remember," Adams said over the radio to his small fleet, "we do not try to win a fair fight. We hit them hard and fast, then run before they know what happened." The Colonian ships came into the asteroid belt in perfect formation. Their shields glowed bright blue around their hulls. They expected to destroy the human mining stations with a few quick shots and then move on to their next target. Captain Adams waited until the alien ships were close to the largest asteroid. Then he gave the order his crews had been waiting for. "Fire everything." 20 strange missiles flew out from hiding places among the asteroids. They were not like normal human weapons. These missiles seemed to dance through space, moving in spirals and curves that made no sense. The Colonian gunners tried to shoot them down, but the missiles were too fast and moved too strangely. When the weapons hit the alien shields, something amazing happened. Instead of exploding against the shields, the missiles seemed to sink into the energy fields. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the shields began to glow brighter and brighter. "What is happening to our shields?" asked a Colonian captain. Before anyone could answer, the shields exploded. But they did not explode outward like normal explosions. They exploded inward, turning the shield energy into a devastating weapon that tore the alien ships apart from the inside. 3 Colonian cruisers were destroyed instantly. 2 more were so badly damaged they could not fight. The remaining ships fled in panic, sending emergency messages back to their fleet. Admiral Zexathara received the report with growing despair. The humans had found a way to turn Colonian technology against itself. The Empire's greatest advantage had become a weakness, but the worst news was still coming. Lieutenant Grace Foster worked at a communication station on the far side of the moon. Her job was to coordinate with resistance movements on planets across the galaxy. What she was hearing made her both excited and worried. "Colonel Hawkins," she reported, "we are receiving messages from rebel groups on 73 different worlds. They all want to know how to build our new shield-eating weapons. Can we help them?" "We are already sending instructions, sir. But there is a problem. The aliens are starting to panic. Some of their commanders are talking about destroying entire planets rather than lose them to rebellion." This was the nightmare scenario that human leaders had feared. If the Colonian Empire decided that dead worlds were better than free worlds, they might start destroying planets with everyone on them. On the bridge of his flagship, Admiral Zexathara received an emergency communication from the governor of Kepler 4y2b, a world that had been part of the Empire for 300 years. "Admiral, you must send help immediately." The governor's voice was filled with panic. "The rebels have taken control of our orbital defense platforms. They are using human tactics and human weapons. My security forces cannot stop them." "How many rebels are there?" the admiral asked. "That is the problem, Admiral. There are millions of them. The humans have convinced our entire population to fight against us. They have turned our own people into enemies." Admiral Zexathara closed the communication and looked at his staff officers. Fear was written on every face. The mighty Colonian Empire, which had ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years, was being torn apart by a species that had not even known about space travel a century ago. Commander Veltuk approached with another report. "Admiral, we have received surrender requests from 4 of our outer colonies. The local commanders say they cannot hold their positions against human-trained insurgents." Surrender requests? The admiral could barely believe what he was hearing. "Colonian officers want to surrender?" "Yes, sir. They say the rebels are using chemical weapons that are harmless to the local population, but deadly to our species. They are also using psychological warfare that drives our soldiers insane." Admiral Zexathara sat down heavily in his command chair. The humans had done something that no enemy had ever accomplished. They had made the Colonian Empire afraid of its own subjects. Across the galaxy, the word was spreading in whispers and secret messages. The humans had shown that the Empire could be beaten. They had proven that freedom was possible for anyone brave enough to fight for it. The Colonian Empire was not just losing a war, it was watching its entire civilization fall apart, one planet at a time. Emperor Korthak had ruled the Colonian Empire for 50 years. In all that time, he had never called an emergency meeting of the High Command. Today was different. Today, his empire was falling apart. The emperor was ancient, even by Colonian standards. His scales were black with age, and his yellow eyes had seen the conquest of 1,000 worlds. Now those same eyes looked at holographic displays that showed nothing but defeat and rebellion. "Explain this to me," the emperor said to his gathered commanders. His voice was quiet, but everyone in the room could hear the anger beneath it. "How has a single planet brought our empire to its knees?" Admiral Zexathara stood before the emperor, knowing that his career and probably his life were over. Around the room, other admirals and generals looked just as defeated as he felt. "Your Majesty," Admiral Zexathara began, "the humans do not fight to conquer territory or gain resources. They fight for an idea. They fight for the concept of freedom, and that idea is more dangerous than any weapon they have built." "An idea?" The emperor's voice grew colder. "You are telling me that our empire is being destroyed by an idea?" "Yes, Your Majesty. The humans have shown every species in the galaxy that we can be defeated. They have proven that our rule is not eternal. Once people believe they can be free, they will do anything to make it happen." The emperor looked at the tactical displays. Red lights covered half the galaxy. Each light represented a world in rebellion, a fleet destroyed, or a system lost to human-inspired insurgents. "How many ships have we lost?" the emperor asked. 3,000, Your Majesty, and we are losing more every day. The rebels are using our own technology against us. They have learned to turn our weapons into tools of their liberation. Far away on Earth, Admiral Morrison stood in the ruins of what used to be the city of Denver. Half the city was nothing but radioactive dust, but the human flag still flew over the government buildings. Humans did not give up, even when their cities were destroyed. Morrison had been promoted after every officer above him had died in battle. He was now the highest-ranking military officer on Earth, a job he had never wanted but accepted because someone had to do it. His communication device buzzed. President Carter wanted to speak with him from the secure bunker beneath what used to be Washington, D.C. "Admiral Morrison," the president said, "we are receiving some very interesting messages from alien ships near Pluto. It seems they want to talk." "Talk, ma'am." "After 8 months of trying to kill us?" "Yes. They are requesting a ceasefire and asking for surrender negotiations." Morrison could hardly believe what he was hearing. The mighty Colonian Empire wanted to surrender to Earth. A year ago, most humans had never heard of aliens. Now the most powerful civilization in the galaxy was asking them for peace. "What are your orders, ma'am?" "We listen to what they have to say. But we do not trust them. This could be a trick." Admiral Zexathara sent the message from his flagship, knowing it would probably be his last official act as a Colonian officer. The words were hard to say, but they were necessary. "Admiral Morrison of the Human Forces," he said into the communication device. "This is Admiral Zexathara of the Colonian Empire. I am authorized by Emperor Korthak himself to offer terms for ending this conflict." The response came back within minutes. Admiral Morrison's face appeared on the screen. He looked tired and angry, but his eyes were still strong. "Admiral Zexathara," Morrison said, "the only terms we will accept are simple. You leave our solar system and never come back. You recognize Earth's independence and promise never to interfere with human affairs again." "Those terms are acceptable," Admiral Zexathara replied. "But we require something in return." "What?" "That humans stop teaching their warfare methods to other species. The rebellions you have inspired are destroying our empire." Admiral Morrison was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke words that would be remembered throughout galactic history. "Admiral, we never asked for this war, we only wanted to be left alone. But you forced us to fight. You made us choose between freedom and slavery. We chose freedom and we will help anyone else who makes the same choice. Then the rebellions will continue? That is not up to us, Admiral. That is up to every species that decides they would rather be free than live as your slaves. Emperor Korthak received Admiral Zexthara's report in his private chambers. The old ruler sat alone, surrounded by the treasures of 1,000 conquered worlds. All of it seemed worthless now. The terms were clear. The Colonian Empire would withdraw all forces from human space. They would recognize Earth as an independent world. They would promise never to attack or interfere with humans again. In return, they got nothing. The humans would not promise to stop spreading their ideas of freedom and rebellion. They would not help the Empire put down the insurgencies that were destroying Colonian rule across the galaxy. The Emperor signed the surrender document with claws that shook with age and anger. In 1 year, a species that had barely learned to travel between planets had brought down an empire that had lasted for a millennium. President Carter stood before the cameras in the rebuilt White House. Behind her, the flag of Earth flew next, to the flags of 43 other species that had declared their independence from the Colonian Empire. People of Earth, she said, and people of all worlds who believe in freedom. Today the Colonian Empire has agreed to our terms. They are withdrawing their forces from our solar system. They have recognized our right to exist as a free and independent species. She paused, looking directly into the camera. But this war was never just about Earth. It was about the right of all thinking beings to determine their own destiny. Today, we have shown the galaxy that tyrants can be defeated. We have proven that no empire lasts forever when people decide to be free. Colonel Jake Harrison watched the last Colonian ships disappear into hyperspace from his observation post on the edge of the solar system. The alien fleet that had once seemed invincible was running away like scared children. His communication device crackled with messages from across the galaxy. Species that had lived under Colonian rule for centuries were declaring their independence. They were using human tactics, human weapons, and human ideas to throw off the chains of slavery. "Sir," reported Lieutenant Brooks, "we are receiving thank you messages from 47 different worlds. They all say the same thing. They say humans taught them how to be free." Colonel Harrison nodded. The war was over, but its effects would last forever. The galaxy would never be the same. The idea of freedom, once unleashed, could never be stopped. Across the Colonian Empire, the phrase spread from world to world, spoken in whispers and shouted from rooftops. Remember the humans. Remember that tyrants can fall. The Galactic Empire's urgent call to retreat had been heard, and in answering it, humanity had changed the universe forever.